So hot water and all that cost is theirs.
Yeah, they're gonna have hot water and heated aggregate and torpedo heaters and stuff heating up the inside.
Torpedo heaters?
Well, they're gonna probably need to heat the inside somewhat.
We'll have to see what the weather brings, that's correct.
It's bringing cold.
I mean, you can't, well, the heat's gonna end up in the ceiling and you do more damage than good some days, so they'll probably have to cover. Because if you run a heater in there without the roofing on and the insulation up there, you'll have a rainforest in there.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, they have to take certain measures to make sure that concrete's acceptable.
That blanket,
I know that Jason went through the facility, and then Kevin was through the facility yesterday. So, I mean, anybody that wants to go through the facility is welcome to give me a call from down.
I would encourage that. It was very helpful to get eyes on what the finished product looks like. Kind of had it in my mind, but it just kind of confirmed. But I would encourage that.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to picture the expansion areas in particular. So, I mean, anybody that wants to come down and go through it, just let me know, and we can go through this anytime. Sheriff allows us to go through it. So, they're gonna be moving inmates, and they're doing the final electrical punch list today, and electrical and mechanical. The engineers are here, and then they'll be moving inmates when Delbert can get here, so the state jail inspector can get here. Any other questions in regards to the progress? We're pushing them as hard as they can, and December 15th is when they anticipate starting the actual roofing, which would be the insulation and roofing. It's mechanically fastened roofs, so it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, the question regarding that chip out front came up, on first panel, of course. But we've talked to the precaster, and they assured us they can repair that. So there'll be certain things that they have to do on the precast to repair it. So.
At what point does that repair get done so that it's not locked in place,
now,
or?
They'll probably, we'll probably have it done, when the weather changes somewhat. So.
But if that appearance isn't as to our liking, or it stands out even with the repair, then that's awfully late in the process to go with a different panel, it seems.
Well, it's probably late in the process. Yeah, you're not going to be able to replace the panel. They'll be able to repair sufficiently for that. It's up high in that one location. Any of the 6-inch precast inside can be repaired sufficiently. So,
and I'm not.
It's not unusual to have a couple of chips here and there, but it can be repaired. I just don't want major cracks in it or anything like that.
I don't see it. I'm no expert, but it doesn't look structural. But if it doesn't match nicely, it's going to be a spot that's quite visible. So that's my concern, is more cosmetic than anything. But
it's up high, and it's not that big a chip, and I've seen them repair them before, so I'll have to go up, prepare it, sandblast it, and it should be fine.
I've got that quote written down.
I wouldn't accept, I'm not into accepting, insufficient work, let me put it that way. But I've worked with a lot of precast, and that's not unusual to have a chip here and there that has to be repaired. So.
Do you have other items, or would you address the heat in the current jail structure? Where do we stand with that? Some of those flexible rounds seem like.
Working on that right now. Right now we have the contractor put temp heat in there. I didn't want to put a lot of money into that after we, when we bid the project, the original project was bid under the boiler, and then when the courthouse heating system was replaced, boiler was needed, and when the boiler got deleted and the chiller wasn't operating, then Sheriff Kevin had called Sibley, but I've had him put a heat strip in temporarily, and contractor brought in some temporary heaters for us so that we could heat the spaces. The furnace in the basement is operational, of course, that heats the admin portion of the admin. But we're looking at possibly going to natural gas in lieu of because the boiler's gone. And some of that equipment, when we got up in the ceiling, the air handling unit above the sheriff's desk and stuff, from 1978, and they said, well, hell, this thing didn't heat anyways. We had, space heaters and everything else going over here. So we're looking into that, and the engineers have looked into it also. So I'll keep you informed.
My concern with the temporary approach it looks like was taken is just that you're running 6 or 8 inch flex into 24 inch or 18 inch ductwork. It seems like you would be drastically reducing the capabilities of heating the facility, but as long as you're on it.
The facility is even better than it was with the dang boiler. So, I don't want to put a lot of money into a building we're tearing down. So, for 1 or 2 inmates, we're moving them around, working with the sheriff on that. If we need to move them down into the admin portion, the holding cell, holding areas, we can do that too. So, we've been working with Kevin on that, on temporary heat. So.
Anything further on job progress update, gentlemen, or further, John, or do we want to consider approval of pay application?
I don't have anything additional for you at this time. Have another meeting scheduled, and you're copied on the meeting minutes from last meeting. So that should give you all a sense of the schedule there. So.
Anything else, gentlemen? Would you walk us through considering the pay application, John?
Sure will. So, starting at the top, you have architectural fees, architectural engineering fees of $5,100. Plus Rick was up to go through the facility. He had reimbursables of $400 for a total of $5,500. For Midwest Construction Consultants, we had the on-site project management and some mileage reimbursables for $17,015.82. General construction, we had invoices for $783,417.08. Security frames and hardware, we had an invoice for $131,905.60. Plumbing, we had an invoice for $2,536.50. From HVAC, CW Suter, we had invoices for $7,600. And for electric, we had invoices for $139,418.20. Job toilets, portable toilets, $280. And we had dumpster fees of $1,358.40 for a total of $1,089,031.60. We also had interest income of $15,762.16 for September, and $14,637.70 for October. So we went through the invoices and reviewed them, and I guess it'd be our recommendation that we approve the pay application for $1,089,031.60. Are there any questions?
No, I hadn't wondered it before, but why don't we have retainage on the architectural fees or the consultant fees?
There's not any retainage on those fees for the contract. So, I mean, I'm not supplying any material as such. So, when you're supplying material and stuff, it's typical that you hold the retainage on the contractors that are supplying material and actually physically doing the work. So.
How much retainage do we have on those?
Let's go over that last column on section 4. You're retaining 5% of them. So the last column to the right of the contract shows what you're holding on each of the contractors. If you go up to the top, in the last column, it says retainage held to date. And if you follow that down to the contractors, then it shows you what you're holding for each of the contractors.
Which garage door do we have to fix?
The one in the new storage shed, it's all dented in. 3 panels are dented in.
That.
Not us. One of the contractors did. It's on the sheriff's stall. There's 3 panels that are dented in.
Notice that too, I think there's out here, you mean?
Out there, the storage, the new storage shed. Yeah.
How much was that, Mike?
Oh, a total of $16.25.
That they're replacing, right? That shouldn't be the cost of the county.
Yeah, that's, let's see what we have to pay for that.
Well, no, they're the ones that hit it, not us. They
Yeah.
need to pay for that.
How come do we have to pay for fixing that garage door, John?
Was that a question to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you say?
How come do we have to pay for the garage door at the storage shed when we didn't do it?
Well, we didn't do anything to it. I mean, we repaired it.
Yeah.
I mean,
What,
it wasn't damaged by the contractors. It was just old.
that's a new shed.
Which door are we talking about? You've got repair garage door. Which garage door are you referencing?
Over there at the existing building.
At the sheriff's office, you mean?
Yeah, at the sheriff's office.
Okay. Well, there's three,
I mean, go ahead.
well, there's a door, a garage door at the new shop that we just built that has some indents and that needs to be repaired by the contractor, whoever did it.
I'll have to check on that. I'm unaware of any damage that was done over there.
Yeah, I thought
You'll
we
see it if you
talked-
go on
yeah,
site.
You'll see it. It's like 3 panels that are dented in.
I'll check in on that. That's not what those repairs are. They're
Okay.
for the existing sheriff's
Okay.
office.
We just had to clarify that.
I'll follow up on that before you go.
Well, Kevin knew about it, so,
Okay. Yeah, I'll follow up with Kevin.
okay.
further, gentlemen? Look for a motion to consider approval of pay application.
I'll make that motion.
That's it.
There's a motion from Schulte. I will offer support as we don't have any further questions being asked of John. There will be a motion and support for approval of the pay application as presented. Any discussion? No discussion. Those in favor of approval of the pay application signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Last item listed is general discussion with any necessary action. Just highlight that you're on oversight of the concrete pouring given weather conditions, the heat in the existing sheriff's office, and you'll check into the garage doors in our storage building where they're storing materials.
Correct.
Anything further for general discussion with any necessary action? Anything further from you, John?
Not at this time. I will keep you informed and wish everybody a good Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, same to you, John.
You as well.
Okay, you have a great day.
We move back up to Weed Commissioner's report.
Okay, so 2025 Weed Commissioners Report. If you look, you will see the list of weeds that are found in our county. Our main really concern would be the Canada thistle. The other one that we're starting to see a little more of is the leafy spurge. That's generally found in ditches. It has little orange flowers that are generally blooming like early June. Somewhere in there, but it produces a lot of seeds and can spread quite quickly.
Sorry, that was which one?
What's that?
That was which one?
Leafy spurge. Leafy spurge. And it's really a problem out in the pastures and areas like grasslands out in South Dakota. Like it spreads really quickly and can outcompete your native grasses and your desirable stuff. So like pastures and stuff, it can become a real problem, and hay fields and stuff like that. This past year, the county spent $36,801.11 on purchasing chemicals. Of that, I want to say right around $2,400 was the County Conservation Board, and the remainder of that would belong to the Osceola County Secondary Road Department. 2 letters went out, 2 phone calls to private individuals, 1 phone call. I think I had a conversation with Mike O'Connor about some spots that were bad. So, other than that, on the last page, you will see the list of chemicals that were used throughout the county. So the milestone, or the Garlon 3A, just going through these. Garlon 3A is a chemical used to control trees and brush. It is the only chemical that I know of that is listed for use around water. So when we went and we'll spray trees around wetlands that are growing up like willows and cottonwoods, that is what we use. The second one is the same chemical, but that is what we actually contracted with CFE to go out with their drones and spray some trees around wetlands, because it is actually they can do it much more effectively from the air with the drones than we can do it with our spray rig. Duracor is the chemical that the Conservation Board uses for spraying thistles in wildlife management areas. We purchased and used 8 gallons of that chemical at a use rate of 20 ounces per the acre. Remedy is something that we use for killing like other trees, like ash and plum trees in wildlife management areas. Crossbow, kind of the same deal. Both have the same active ingredient. It's just different formulations. Mecamate-D was, we went out and sprayed the parks, so we used 6 gallons of that. And then the bottom 3 are what were used by the secondary road department. So again, we have Remedy at the 1 gallon per acre, 210 gallons per acre. They used it for brush in the roadsides. Grazon Next is a very, very similar formulation to the Duracor. It's got roughly the same active ingredients in it. That's what is used for thistle and other weeds in the roadside. And then the Pathfinder RTU is something that can get broadcast sprayed after they go in and do like a brush clearing for contact with the stumps to try and prevent them from reaching property. So with that, are there any questions?
I don't recall how much is that, 36,000 compared to previous years.
It was more than last year. It was more money than got spent last year. But I want to say secondary roads has 2 guys out now certified to spray.
2 certified guys, and we have our bigger, more robust spray rig now, so it allows us to get more of the county.
Yeah, go out and covers more. They did I believe talking with O'Connor, they also did some just blanket spraying of some areas instead of spot treatments to just try and see if they could get the problem areas under control. So.
Increase, moved organic farming is seeing an increase in weeds, or?
I mean, the organic farms don't want to have the weeds in them anyway. There is some. You can drive down Highway 9 over by Harris, and in the when they're switching their fields to organic, they do the combination of the alfalfa and oats. That's their first crops that they use, and you will definitely go out and see spots in that. But after they switch to their more row crop agriculture, like corn, soybeans, they're going to go out and they do some cultivating and flaming and stuff like that.
Anything else? Thank you.
I think we need a motion to approve it, right? Well, chairman has to sign this.
Chairman has to sign it, so you're
I
gonna
would
go.
like a motion to
I would
approve it
make
if I'm
a
gonna sign it.
motion.
Need a motion? I'll make a motion to accept the weed commissioner's report. Second.
Motion by Helmer, support from Loring for acceptance and approval of the weed commissioner's report. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're gonna pay that too.
Typical Hawkeye man trying to skate by. Have a good day.
We got it done this weekend. Next would be considering setting a fiscal year 25-26 budget amendment public hearing date. What are you presenting for that?
December 23rd at 9 o'clock.
Interest in action to set a public hearing date for December 23 at 9 a.m.
Second.
And what was it that's driving that?
Basically the, money that were used for opioid funds, I don't have enough. Yeah, that's my main thing. We had some expenses for conservatorship and we got substance abuse, so fees that we have to pay, and other than that, there's not a whole lot besides that.
I'll use the opportunity to clean up my budget for FEMA funds that didn't get spent last year or get spent this year. That's going a lot slower than you always think.
And I have special election expense. I wasn't planning on a school election in September, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming there might be one in March, so I'm guessing, I don't know that for sure. But the opioid's the big thing. I don't have enough money. I mean, I have enough to cover it, but not for a long period of time, so.
We have a motion by Loring, support from DeBoer for approval of the public hearing date and time. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Next, we would look to consider appointment of Dr. Garrett Stirk to the Board of Health.
Make that motion.
Support.
A motion from Schulte, support from Helmers for approval of Dr. Garrett Stirk to the Board of Health. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
He's replacing Dr. Costers. He's not,
There has to be a
yeah, he's just replacing him.
doctor on the board. He's been attending the meetings the last number of months and preparing for it, so that'll be good, I think. And next is Ashley Hench, has been on the board and is willing to be reappointed.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion from DeBoer, support from Loring for reappointment of Ashley Hench to the Board of Health. Any discussion? With none, those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Chuckle when Dr. Coster said how long he's been the chair of the board. That's when Stirk says, I was still in college at that time.
All right, we have our engineer coming for consider approval of plans for Bridge E15 deck overlay.
Mr. Chair. This is what we kind of call the Schneps Bridge there south of town. Just last meeting, we were adjusting some of the funding in the 5-year program. The project's getting close to getting ready to go out for letting. So this bridge is going to be milled down to the top of the rebar, also some selected areas. We'll probably see some full depth replacement, and then it gets a 2-inch concrete overlay. This is very similar to the bridge that we did on Tyler Avenue this last year. It uses state HBP funds, so it's not really coming out of our budget. It's just programmed through the state, utilizes the funds that are allocated to us. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions on the bridge project.
How thick does it have to be, like for the trucks going across? Is there a minimum or a maximum? Or
You mean what is a typical bridge deck thickness? When we build our new bridge, the concrete slab bridges, those things are like
150 foot ones are about 2 foot thick.
2 foot thick. But if you've got an actual, that's a slab bridge. If you've got an actual beam bridge, then the deck may be somewhere around 8 to 12 inches thick. It just depends on the bridge design.
So when you said 2 inches, I was thinking,
That's the overlay. So they're gonna mill down to the top of the rebar so they don't affect the rebar. Some areas get full depth repair. Oh, is it, how much? Quarter inch mill. There's some areas that get full depth repair if it's really bad. And then from there, they come in with 2-inch overlay.
I was just curious with the trucks going across there.
That's how they did that L58 down there by Steve Goodman. Yeah. Holding up pretty good. A lot of trucks go across that.
It's a good bang for your buck whenever you've got, the deck is the problem, but the rest of the bridge is sound. It puts a lot of life back in the bridge.
I'm just curious.
Need a motion to approve the plans then?
Yeah, that's just part of how the state does things. We have to have approved plans.
Make that motion.
Support. A motion from Loring, support from Helmers for approval of the plans for the bridge E15 deck overlay. Any further discussion? Questions? Without any, then those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. To consider approval of final payment for Oak Hill box culverts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally, we probably wouldn't bring something like this to the board, but this is being done through the FEMA reimbursement. So we're pretty much handling it like we would handle any type of DOT project. So as we finish the project, we bring the final payment for approval with the board. The projects went very well. There was some issues with some of the culvert materials, but the manufacturer stood by it and gave us a credit discount. There was a slight increase in cost on the contractor from having to remobilize as they pulled off and came back. But all in all, the projects came in within budget. There's only $2,700 remaining of retainage. That's what this payment would be. So with that, we would close out this project, and we've dotted the I's, crossed the T's for FEMA. So.
I'll make your motion.
I'll support that.
We have a motion from Schulte, support from DeBoer to approve for approval of final payment for Oak Hill box culverts. Any discussion?
So it's these $2 amounts, right?
Total amount's $2,700. They're actually in the claims right now for today as well, so if it passes, they'll stay there.
Anything further? Those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It's passed. Now consider lease agreement for Cedar Cabin site.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We were approached by Alliant Energy. They have a project down in that area, and they need to store a lot of poles and other materials for a project. They proposed a lease agreement for $500 a month. It's reasonable, and we're not using the site. The only stipulations I put in there was that they had to maintain access to the garages that the theater troupe uses down there, so that in case they have to get in, and we have to have an area that we store our snow plow that we just kind of nose in and pick up as needed for snow operations. So that's in the agreement. Other than that, they expect to use it for about 5 months.
You're saying you are retaining that space for?
They have to keep space available for us to be able to utilize the site, but that's the only utilization we use of the site, is just storing our snow plow there.
Make a motion for the lease agreement.
Support.
Motion from Loring, support from Schulte for approval of the lease agreement on that site. Any further discussion? If none, those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you. Discuss possible UR number 6 projects. Mr. Brand presented us the cost of the planned work for the segment of the road north of Ocheeden we talked about. Identifies $270,000 currently to be used by federal aid funding and farm to market funds. If we research this and are able to, or interested in using the UR process, is there a way to transfer that project elsewhere or use those funds in a different way?
We would reprogram it. Well, we would reprogram the project in the 5-year program to use a local funding source. It would still go on the same schedule and still go through the DOT and be led, just the funding source would change. In terms of the other funds, they would stay in our pot to use for other projects in the future. The federal aid amount is being distributed amongst lots of projects, so that's not really a problem.
If this were to be considered or researched, what would the timing be on making those changes? Or
it's programmed for fiscal year 27. So if this were to occur, I would, in the next 5-year program that you're going to see as part of the budget process, I would change the funding source at that time. Other than that, it just goes in when we go through the design with the state DOT.
So it won't be designed until, when would we incur debt? That's my question.
I'd have to go look at my calendar, but it wouldn't be until late in fiscal year 27. It will probably go out for bid in fiscal year 27, and then late fiscal year 27, or possibly even fiscal year 28 is when the funds would get expended. So is that not that's bad for your timing then?
We only got like 3 years left. We already missed a December 1st deadline for 26, 27 collection.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's going to be tight. I don't know if we have to incur debt in order to have a TIF project, and I don't know if we would have that.
what we've done before is an internal loan for advance of funds, but I don't know if that qualify.
I don't know. That's a lawyer question.
Yeah.
I do have the calendar timing mapped out. I can go get that if you want to give me in a couple minutes to answer that question better.
Because we probably won't collect the full 270,000. I think Chantry thought it collected maybe 70 to 90,000 a year, maybe.
For 3 years.
2 years.
2 years at that point.
Or 2. Yeah, if we get a certified by December 1, that would have gave us 3 years. But now we're down to 2, we believe.
I would say this funding is not critical to this project. It's simply the only project we have in the vicinity.
The only other thought relative to UR6 is if, ISU Extension is talking with Fair Board and going through meetings on potential different structure, and I didn't know if that would be something we would want to consider amending in, but for 180,000 max through utilizing the TIF process, I don't know if the 8,000 to 10,000 amendment cost is worth it, but just, is this anything the board wants to proceed with? Would we want to reach out to a firm to consider an engagement to potentially proceed on amendment? It doesn't tie us to having to, but
So I just thought it'd work good for using it over by Ocheeden, but if it's not a big deal, I guess.
it could be used for extension.
Well, some of the talk is to go with a larger facility that would be more of an event center or a have year-round potential
But you're talking-
beyond what extension needs.
But you're talking about 180,000?
There are 2 years
Roughly
remaining at
is
that.
what we could generate. That's just a rough estimate.
Yeah, I don't know, you're talking probably $500,000 project. You know, I don't know.
I don't know if it can be used for the design and feasibility type approach. Or, to me, that's certainly an economic development effort if we go larger and have a year-round facility for fair site usage and community usage. But just trying to think what might fit into it and if it's something we want to use an existing UR remaining life for or not.
I know Extension and the Fair Board's talked about it, but, you know, we kind of put it on the back burner because of the costs, you know, so.
They had a meeting in
Yeah.
mid-November, and they've
Yeah.
got another one scheduled next week. Yeah, my impression is Extension wants to move forward pretty full force, but exactly what that means or where is certainly wide open. But I don't know. Not trying to rush a process or force anything, but if we just sit back and don't consider it, the opportunity passes too. So, is it anything we want to reach out to Ehlers and Cooney and offer an engagement letter, or not even worth or want the desire to investigate it?
I'd like to find out a little more what, I'm kind of off the Fair Board, I'm just sitting there now, but I don't see what their intentions and what Extension is thinking. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
And that road project, if it fits, is a fine one, but I don't know why we couldn't give thought to and consider where else we could maybe use the process. But I can come up with lots of ideas, but without legal saying, yeah, that fits, that doesn't fit, it somewhat can become a waste of time too. But I've had plenty of bad ideas. Maybe I'll find a good one yet.
You need want a motion to proceed forward with contacting, or don't we need that, or?
I guess I think a motion to seek an engagement letter from a legal firm that deals with urban renewal, and at this point that would probably be Ehlers and Cooney. I'm not familiar what other options there are, but
I don't know of anybody else.
if we want to investigate it further, I think we need probably board authority to have someone else present what the process would look like and cost.
I would make a motion for that.
And with Ehlers and Cooney then, is that,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, who else is?
there isn't anybody else.
If we could find others, we could request it of others, but I'm not familiar with them. That we'd be in the good graces of.
That's true.
Any interest in support for that motion? I'll offer support to that motion. Any further discussion as to the motion by Helmer, support for me to request an engagement letter from Ayers and Cooney to further explore UR6 projects? If there's no other discussion, those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion passes, and we can reach out to them and see what that might look like. Next item listed is approved TIF reports and state reports.
This is just our annual reporting that's due December 1. That's just normal. It's certifying the ethanol TIF and Tyler Avenue TIF, and then their reports from Sibley support, or of Cheaton support, and then the city of Sibley. You guys can look at this if you want, or
Review those before or after, or proceed before or after the 10 o'clock Joint Drainage District Zoom with O'Brien County. Will take place during our regular meeting. We don't have to recess or.
well, I have 10 o'clock, I have enter into so it's a separate meeting, so.
Within this meeting.
Yeah.
We don't need to recess or.
I have a separate agenda for it, so we probably should have recessed and go and enter into our drainage ditch meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recess for now.
Second.
I have a motion from Helmer, support from Loring to recess this meeting to enter into the 10 o'clock Joint Drainage District meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are recessed. And it is 10 o'clock. We'll
One down to the mill.
call this meeting to order. This will be for Joint Drainage District 6, Zoom meeting with O'Brien County. I don't recall, am I running this or they are?
Hello, Rhea and Spencer.
Hey, Rochelle, Spencer.
Hey.
Got Spencer and Owen with ISG, but I'm not seeing O'Brien County yet.
Okay.
I got you, Spencer. Are we controlling county? Do I have to run the meeting or
I think
is O'Brien?
we're
I
controlling.
think Osceola is,
Yeah, I
but
think we are too.
yeah, Rochelle would probably know better.
I think we are too. Controlling of that.
There are a lot of things I think Rochelle should know better.
I know. A lot, and I don't. Would totally agree with that.
Gives me comfort knowing I'm not the only one.
Not even close. Hopefully it'll drain.
Spencer, you got any free time today if I call you later about the wetland emails that have been going around?
Oh, sure, for the wetland project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open most of the rest of the day, and afternoon. I have a couple meetings from 2 to 3, but otherwise I'm pretty well open all afternoon.
You had your chance to say, no, I'm booked, I won't have time to hear from you. We'll wait for O'Brien to join in.
I just had to get up and walk.
No, but you're moving better, faster.
Oh, yeah. It's coming slowly. I was born with so much patience anyway.
One.
Okay, looks like we've got O'Brien County on here as well. Can you hear us?
I do. We want to do a roll call of those in attendance. I'm understanding that Osceola County is controlling, so I will be running the meeting. We've got Jason Vandy here. We'll go around and share who's in attendance.
Yeah, Jason, I'm not sure if O'Brien can hear us yet on the call. I can see their video, but I'm not sure if they can hear us yet or not.
So hold off,
I
huh?
hear you.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. We do have audio, sorry.
Leroy DeVore,
Jerry Helmers. Jeff Loring.
Mike Schulte.
And then O'Brien?
Dan Frederickson.
Nancy McDonald.
We are having a hard time hearing most of O'Brien County's participants. So Spencer, you're coming through loud and clear. If they have something you hear, can you echo that for us?
Yeah, I sure can.
Our first item would be to consider the agenda for November 25. We're interested in approving the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Schulte
Support, Frederickson.
and support from Frederickson for approval of today's agenda. Any discussion on the agenda as presented? Hearing none. Those in favor of the agenda signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We have an agenda. We also have minutes presented to us from our May 13th meeting. We'd be interested in approval of those minutes.
I would make a motion, Roar.
Motion from
Motion
Roy.
by Roar.
Is there a second for the motion to approve minutes?
Support.
We have a second from Helmers. Any discussion on the minutes as presented from May 13? If no discussion, all those in favor of approval of May 13's minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Now we have listed file, Joint Drainage District 6 Tile Improvement Updated Preliminary Report. Is there anything you want to share in consideration of that, Spencer?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jason. Thanks to the board for having us today. I think we want to just kind of share a little bit of an update on the project, the work that we've been doing, and then talk through the updated report that we have brought for you today. just to be sure, I know we emailed that out yesterday, but do both boards have access to the report and be able to view it? We can also, for O'Brien, we can also share our screen here if that helps and pull it up on the screen too.
Osceola has a copy of it.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to confirm before we get started. Well, anyway, morning everyone. Spencer Peck with ISG. Good to see everyone again. I've also got Owen Olgenbrunn on with me. Hopefully you remember Owen was at the landowner meeting back in April with me when we met with the landowners in the project. So Owen and I are going to kind of talk through an update on the project and where things are at right now in the preliminary report we filed. So I'm going to pause and let Owen kind of just quick introduce himself again and then talk through kind of where we landed at the landowner meeting back in April and then some of the work that we've done since then, and then we'll talk about kind of the current findings.
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer. Yeah, my name is Owen Olgenbrunn. I'm a project manager here with ISG. I've been helping out Spencer with this project here. So I'll give you a quick rundown kind of on what we've been up to for the past 6 or 7 months. So we had that landowner meeting back in April where we presented some findings and some options there. And based on landowner feedback, there were some concerns on the costs of the options that we put together. And then they also wanted us to look into doing kind of a surface channel along branch 76 down to the ditch. And then there was also kind of thoughts and opinions that the clean out of the downstream ditch would also be beneficial. So since that time, we had survey out there. So we did survey in May and June where we gathered some topo information of that downstream ditch. And then we also flew some LiDAR of the contributing watershed acres. We gathered data on culverts, tile intakes where we shot inverts. And so we got a lot more information on the depth of the existing JDD6 system. And so we could figure out cover from that. We also did further research into the records on the outlet. And so within that, we found that the open ditch below the tile outlet is not a part of the JDD6 system. So it is an improved ditch, but in order to do any sort of clean out there or deepening there, we would need to annex that into the JDD6 system into the district. So yeah, that was kind of a big finding there. As we went through all that survey data, we put together a few different options for you guys here. And those options include ditch deepening, ditch cleaning, surface channel options, tile improvement options. While putting those together, we ran prelim models of that existing watershed and improved the options in order to vet out those designs, make sure that would work, make sure we would meet drainage coefficients. And then we've also put together some cost estimates for you guys within that memo that you guys have. So Spencer, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Owen. And I do have my screen sharing here, so hopefully, O'Brien, I'm not sure if you all can see that, but I'll kind of point out. As I sort of talk through some of this, you can look at the district plat if you'd like and kind of follow along that way in Osceola. So one of the things that Owen mentioned that was a pretty big finding is on our previous, the previous district plats that we had looked into for research and what we had provided you showed that the ditch, which is downstream of the main tile outlet, was part of the JDD6 system, part of the drainage district. And that's what the original plats showed, but we found actually from reading through some of the records that that was the original plan, was for that ditch to be part of the public system, but it was, that ditch was actually constructed privately, and so it was not, when the project was actually constructed in the early 1900s, that ditch was done privately. So it is an outlet, an improved outlet for the system, but it is not part of JDD6 officially right now, which is why Owen had mentioned any work that we do to that ditch would potentially require some administrative work by JDD6 to potentially annex some of that land in and acquire right away for that ditch because it is not to date officially part of that system. So that, if you're looking at the existing map plat that was in the memo that we sent over, that would be the orange line there downstream of the tile outlet. Want to kind of move on now to talk a little bit about some of our other findings we had from some of the survey work and further vetting of the design options. So as Owen mentioned, one of the big pieces of feedback we got from the landowners back in April was they were interested in trying to do some sort of a surface channel improvement or some lower cost improvement alternative to replacing all of the tile. And so one of the first things we looked at was vetting out that surface channel improvement option. And one of the big pieces of additional information that we got from some of the survey was the tile depth information, as well as the cover, as Owen had mentioned, how much cover is over the tile. So to kind of talk about this, I'm going to look at, we had a map that we called the areas of concern map, that you can see a couple areas of concern that we've called out for potential depth issues. And all in all, what we found out from some of the survey and field review and into this system is that the existing system is pretty shallow in a few different locations as it sits today without doing any sort of improvement or surface channel. So you can see there's 3 different areas on the area of concern map that we've called out for shallow depth. One of them is right at the main tile outlet where that tile outlets into that existing ditch. The second is there near 280th Street, near that road crossing. And then the third area of limited depth is up where the main and branch 76, the confluence of the main and branch 76 are. And the existing tile, I'll kind of move on to some of those specific existing depth maps. In those locations, the existing tile, I would say, has generally, I don't know if I would say adequate depth, but it has a reasonable amount of depth, but the major concern being the depth to be gained to be able to put, like, say, a bigger tile in or to put a surface channel in. So if you look at the concern area, kind of showed some approximate depth there, so you can see the tile is shown in the middle.
Spencer, you cut out just as you were saying which concern area? You starting with A?
Oh, yeah, concern area A map is the one I'm looking at, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So on the right side, you'll see the existing ground and the existing tile. So that existing tile is about a little over 3 feet of cover on it, which is reasonable and is okay for the existing tile. But you can see what we have called out there for proposed ground. And that's actually, kind of jumping ahead, that's what the waterway option would be to do the surface channel. You can see that gets us down to less than 2 feet of cover, only 1.5 feet of cover over the tile, if we were to do that surface channel option. So the point here is that the existing tile is pretty limited on depth in some of these locations, and trying to do a surface channel would only exacerbate that problem. And maybe it kind of goes without saying, but obviously if we get that tile down to less than 2 feet of cover, we could have issues with the tile being crushed, without adequate cover over it, or the tile could start, there could be like suck hole issues or whatever as well in the gaps in the tile, in the existing system, that is. Moving on to area of concern map B. This is at 280th Street there, and in this specific location, actually, the existing tile is pretty limited on cover based on the survey we gathered. The existing tile, as it sits today, has roughly 2 feet of cover, potentially less. And so even without doing any sort of like surface channel work or anything, the tile is really shallow in that specific area as well. And then jumping ahead to concern map 3, I know this one maybe doesn't show quite as clearly, but what we're trying to show here is that where that existing tile outlets into the ditch there, it is very shallow, probably only a couple feet of cover. And additionally, what we found is that that ditch that the tile outlets into is very shallow as well, and does not provide any additional depth for the tiled outlet. So throughout the length of that ditch, it's really only as deep as it really needs to be, just to barely outlet that tile, and no deeper. And it's I think in some places, only a few feet deep throughout the length of the ditch. And so sharing all this information just to say that, like, there is a significant lack of depth on the existing system, and obviously looking at like replacing the existing tile with a larger pipe or putting in a surface channel makes that, only exacerbates that problem. And so to address that problem, really what we need to do is look at how can we deepen an improved system. And so that's kind of what led us to some of the design options that we're going to talk through as well. But before maybe we jump into any of the design options, I guess I would just pause and see the joint board has any questions about what I've described about that finding on the existing system. We'll kind of dive into what that means for improvement options too, but want to just pause there and see if there's any questions.
Keep going.
Okay. Well, that being said, then I'll kind of just start to talk about a little bit about some of the improvement options that we have for you today. And so, with the challenge with the lack of depth on the existing system is, I know the landowner's desire was to see a surface channel option pursued, and my understanding from the landowner's input was that the goal with that was to have a potentially more cost-effective improvement option. And ultimately, because of the lack of depth on that tile, the surface channel option is really not feasible without replacing at least some of that existing tile. Because if you tried to put in that surface channel on the existing tile, you would potentially, uncover the tile or get the tile to a point where it has not enough cover and risk failure of that tile. So that in itself, I think, is a pretty big finding, because I know that was one of the landowners' major desires, was to see a surface channel option that would be a lower cost. And because of that tile depth issue, it's just really not feasible to do that without at least replacing some extent of the tile. And we'll kind of talk through what that looks like as an option as well. But I wanted to kind of start there. So no matter what, whether it's a tile improvement or a surface channel improvement or some combination of both, there's some additional depth needed, and we'll kind of talk through how we can do that. So what we have for you here today within the memo and preliminary report that we provided are a few different improvement options, slightly modified from what we had previously provided based on the new information we have. And so we'll just kind of talk through those. Improvement option number one, actually, maybe I'll just back up. Before I talk through that, the improvement options, I want to just address the ditch downstream of the drainage district. And so this is that orange line downstream of where the tile currently outlets at. We did, as Owen mentioned, we did some survey on that ditch just to understand its depth and grade and all those types of things. And what we found is that it would be feasible to gain the additional depth we need by cleaning and deepening that ditch. And we're expecting we'd only have to do that from the next road crossing, so 290th Street, starting there, and then cleaning and deepening it from there up to where the tile outlets now. And we could clean it and deepen it enough in that stretch to get the additional depth we would need for the improvement options. So that you'll see that called out on all the improvement options, is to clean and deepen that ditch. And ultimately, that's a really crucial part of all the improvement options, just to gain that additional depth for whether it be the new tile outlet or the surface channel or whatever it may be. And what comes with that is, the drainage district would have to pursue potentially annexation of some of those lands because that would become now a part of the district, and then potential acquisition of right-of-way to make that an official drainage district open ditch. So there's some considerations there as well. Now, the drainage code does have mechanisms for you to do this. There's just some processes that have to be followed, and we can certainly talk through that more as needed. But just wanted to mention that you'll see at all these improvement options we have called out to clean and deepen that ditch downstream to get a deeper outlet.
How many acres would that increase the district if that was annexed in for the watershed?
Yeah, that's a good question, Barb. I don't have that number in front of me right now, but I could get you that pretty quickly, because I know that we had a previous watershed delineated that included those. I don't know, Owen, if you'd want to check on our previous watershed that included those acres, and we could probably calculate that, because right now the district watershed we have around 1,470 acres, but we could definitely get you that number for how many more would potentially be added in with the addition of the ditch.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll look for that. Awesome. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the ditch downstream of the drainage district. Now, I'll talk through kind of some of the improvement options. And so improvement option number one is very similar to an improvement option that we would have presented to the landowners at the last meeting, and that's fairly straightforward tile replacement and improvement. So on improvement option number 1 plat, you'll see the green line there, and that's just replacing the existing main tile and branch 76 tile with a new, larger, deeper tile that would provide additional drainage relief. Really, the only change to this design option from what was previously presented is that we would have to do some work to the ditch downstream to make this option feasible and maintain the depth that we need for that improvement. So that option is, for the most part, pretty similar to what was provided previously. And I believe the cost is fairly similar to what we had provided previously as well. So I know the main concern with the landowners was the cost of that option, but that is still a viable option that we provided here for consideration. We'll move on here to a new proposed option number 2, which we have on the plat here, option number 2 again. And so for this option, what we looked at was, rather than knowing that depth is an issue and rather than replacing the main tile through the lower end, and knowing that we're going to need to clean out that existing ditch, can we just go ahead and clean out and deepen the existing ditch and then extend that and continue the drainage district open ditch all the way up to where the main and branch 76 join there in section 6. And so one of the major concerns with this option obviously is that we would be constructing a new open ditch, which could it would split some fields. And that's always a pretty significant consideration with landowners in understanding that. It obviously changes a lot with their land if we do that. And then constructing a new open ditch always includes that right-of-way acquisition process and paying those landowners damages for all the land that would be taken for that. So again, this is a feasible option, but there are considerations to be made about constructing a new open ditch and what that does to some of those lands. So this option, again, the blue line on option number 2 is this would be an open ditch. So this would be a full depth, I would venture to say around 6 to 7 feet deep throughout its length. All of the tile would outlet into it, and it would have water flowing through it, nearly all the time. And then the main and branch 76 tiles would outlet into that new open ditch, and then it would be improved upstream of it. So that's option number 2. And then option number 3, we split into kind of 2 sub options. And really what option number 3 is that surface channel option that the landowners had requested previously. And so we'll start with option number 3A, which is essentially same or similar to option number 1, except for that we've included a surface channel. And so if you look at option number 3A, there's a purple line on the map. And what that purple line on the map represents is a surface channel. And for all intents and purposes, if you want to think of it as kind of like a grass waterway, that's essentially what it would be. And so it is designed to be farmable and crossable throughout almost its entire length. The only place that it's deeper and not farmable, or I shouldn't say farmable, excuse me, crossable, not farmable, obviously grass waterway. The only place that we don't have it designed to be crossable is up near the very top, where it goes straight north and south in between those properties there. So those 2 properties have different owners, and so our thinking there is that because the ditch is deeper there, there shouldn't be a need to cross because those are 2 different property owners on each side, and so the channel would not be crossable there. But I know this area at the top end of the surface channel there, where it goes straight north and south, was one of the major areas of concern in terms of drainage that the landowners had presented to us. And so what this option provides is the replaced tile, the increased depth in the tile, and then also that surface channel to provide the drainage relief off of the surface water off those lands. And again, the reason that we have to replace all the tile is because if you look at, we can go back and look at the area of concern map, but anywhere that this surface channel crosses that existing tile, because of the increased depth of the surface channel, we would risk, essentially uncovering that existing tile because it's so shallow. And so the whole idea with the new tile replacement is to get additional depth so we can keep enough cover on top of the tile. And then, so that's option 3A. And then slight modification from option 3A is 3B, where for 3B, we really looked at understanding that the landowners had concerns with the costs of the project. 3B is what I would consider to be a sort of the lowest possible cost alternative at this time, which is essentially where we're deepening and cleaning that existing ditch, and then we're putting in the surface channel that the landowners had requested us to look into, and then we're only replacing the portion of the tile that absolutely needs to be replaced because of depth issues. So on option 3B, what you'll see is we have the orange line, which is the ditch deepening and cleaning, and then we have that same purple line, which is that surface waterway and channel, and then the green line is just the replacement of the existing main tile, and again, that's just to get that additional depth to maintain the cover where the surface channel is. And so I really kind of think of 3D as like the closest thing that we can get to what I think the landowners might have been looking for, which was that low cost improvement. You know, how can we get the surface water off of this land without spending more than we have to? And I guess the one consideration with 3B is that it does address a lot of the depth issues at the lower end. It provides that surface drainage relief, and then we do replace the lower end of the main with an improved tile. And so what this allows the landowners to do is, if they wanted to sort of, if you want to think about it as like phasing the project, they could do 3B now, and then let's say at some point in the future they wanted to come back and improve the rest of the main or improve branch 76, they could hook on to what we replace here and then do the rest of it later. And so maybe I'll just kind of pause there and see what sort of questions or input or feedback the board has on those options.
Spencer, at one time, I think it's District 38 that's to the east of District 6. There was some land taken that was taken out and added to District 6. Do you remember that?
I don't specifically remember talking about that. Jerry, did we talk about that at like the previous landowner meeting? Or?
No. This was when we reclassified 38 just to the east of that, and we pulled some land out of District 6.
Oh, I think I remember what you're talking about
on
now.
the
When
east
we
side of that,
reclassified,
and there was some correspondence with somebody on my emails about going the other direction with that.
Yeah, I think I remember now, Jerry. You're talking about, okay, yeah, the drainage district over to the east, where the landowner had tiled that. Yeah, I'd have to dig those emails up and look. I'm not sure if that would affect this watershed here, but I can check to confirm that if that hasn't been accounted for here, that we make sure and account for that. But I think I do remember what you're talking about now.
Okay.
Spencer, this is Nancy McDowell. So you're saying all options require kind of cleaning out that, what you call the orange open ditch, correct? Do all of them require that?
Yeah, yeah, good question, Nancy. And that is what we're finding here, is that just because that's so shallow now and there is such a limitation on depth, that is the best way to get a deeper outlet is to clean out and deepen that ditch downstream of the district.
So would it make sense to kind of work on getting permission or annexing that area before you make decisions on the rest of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like that, what you're kind of getting at there, like that whole process of annexation and acquisition of that area would be a big step in the process, and maybe that's a direction the board would want to take the project, is we want to address that issue first and get the additional depth before we go any further with any of the rest of it. But that would certainly be, a part of the process, and maybe that's a good starting point for the district, is getting that outlet downstream of the tile. Now, I'm going to say improved and deepened, so it's prepared for future improvements. One thing I will say to that, though, is that I know the landowners had asked us to look into what would, if we did clean out that ditch, say we only cleaned out the ditch and didn't do any other improvements, how much improvement in drainage would that give us overall? I don't expect that would change a lot in terms of the drainage issues that we're seeing farther up in the watershed by deepening that ditch, because the tile does have an outlet now. Really, the whole need behind deepening that ditch downstream of the tile outlet is just to get the additional depth for any improvements. I guess to answer your question, I think that could be a direction the board takes it and says we're going to work on getting this outlet issue and depth issue addressed first before we proceed with any of the other improvements.
What if you make improvements upstream that you don't clean out the orange part? Like if you don't get permission, will it just pool right at that bottom, or?
Yeah, essentially, if you were, so if we're not to do anything to the downstream ditch and we were to just try and improve the tile, your tile outlet would essentially just be buried and would be underwater, and it would just be, it would be kind of a mess, to be honest, without having an outlet for that tile.
Sure. You have a question? On that vein, do your cost estimates include having annexed that portion for the project?
Yeah, good question, Jason. We do have within the cost estimate some inclusion for some of the annexation work, and then also some of the acquisition work, and following that appraiser's report process for acquiring the right of way as well.
And if you acquire it, how wide would that access be or acquisition be for the ditch portion?
I don't have the exact number on that right now. Off the top of my head, we would, as we would fully vet this out, we would be able to get that. It would just be based on like that. What we typically do is the acquisition would be the ditch width, and then we would add some ingress and egress easement on the side of it. So I think the board could potentially influence that if you had a preference for how wide that was. Typically what we do is say we would acquire from top of bank to top of bank on the ditch, and then enough outside of the top of bank to allow for access on each side as well. So I'm going to go on a limb and say, I think 100 feet width of that ditch would get you pretty close to that, because it's not super deep. I think 100 feet would probably get you pretty close.
Do you have any idea how far you'd have to go cleaning that ditch?
Yeah, just down to 290th Street, Jerry. So based on the survey we did, we think we could start cleaning at 290th and then clean and deepen from there up to where the tile outlet's now, and that would get us the depth we need.
Okay.
Which is about a half mile. So
Yep.
To Barb's question earlier, I'm looking at be just between 6 and 7 acres probably, and that would be the access as well as the ditch.
Yeah, that would be for the right of way. Yep, right of way acquisition. I don't know, Owen, did you get a chance to get an approximation for additional annexation acres?
Yeah, so looking at the watershed of the previous memo that we sent out in the spring, that watershed size is 2,672 acres. But that would have to be vetted out a little bit more.
Yeah, so what we could be annexing, there's quite a bit of land that drains into that ditch, so we could be annexing like up to 1,000 acres or more into the district with the inclusion of the ditch downstream.
So you said about a total of 2672?
Yep.
So I know it's probably kind of a difficult question to answer, but if you look at 3B, approximately how regularly would you have to clean out the new surface waterway and the deepen channel?
Yeah, good question. So I would say generally what we see on like what I'm going to call the full depth ditch, we would have still pretty good grade on it even with it being deepened, and so typically we see with those the depth, clean out. There's obviously some variation in that, but I would say like the full depth drainage ditches you don't see clean out much more often than say like 20, 25, 30 years, give or take. Obviously kind of depends. Now on the surface channel, the purple line on 3B, that was one of the big considerations that I wanted to make sure the landowners were aware of, is that those surface waterways are going to require regular maintenance. I would say probably on a 5-year interval. Ultimately it happens that they get silted in, or because they're crossable, somebody farms into them a little too closely and tears up some of them. They get, sort of narrower with time. It just happens that, the district should plan to have to do maintenance on that surface channel every 5 years, give or take, I would say.
So that's a trade-off for the tile.
Yes, exactly.
I also see on proposal, options 1 and 2, the other district costs, which include annexation, is way higher than in options 3A and 3B. And to the tune of the $223,800 for drainage district row taken, why is it different on options 1 and 2 versus 3A and 3B?
Yeah, sorry, we should probably spell that out. The ROW, that's the right of way, so that's the acquisition of the land for the land that would be taken.
We would not need that on options 3A and 3B?
We would. I'm sorry, did that get mixed up? Is that where that's listed on, you're saying it's listed on 1 but not on 3A? Let me take a look at that.
It's listed on option 1 and 2, but not on 3A and 3B, the right of way.
Okay, if that's, let me check into that. If that's incorrect, we'll correct that and make sure that that's fixed. So there would still be some right of way on options 1 and 2 because of the ditch downstream, but there would be more right of way on 3A and 3B because of the surface channel. So we'll take a look at that, because no matter what, you would have some right of way for that ditch deepening. So option 1 should have the least amount, and then option 2 would have more because of the full length open ditch, and then the option 3 would still have right of way for the surface channel. So each of the options would have some right of way, but let me double check those numbers to make sure we have those, the right numbers corresponding with the right options on those.
Okay.
Spencer?
Spencer, this is Nancy again. If we cut off somebody's field and they can't drive through the waterway and we create more of an open channel, do we have to provide like a bridge to get to the other side of the field, or access from a different parcel, or how would that work?
Yeah, good question, Nancy. Typically what I've seen the drainage districts do on a new open ditch is part of the right-of-way acquisition process in the drainage code would allow for what I would call appraised damages to the field, and then typically what would be included within that is what we call a severance damage to what you're describing, and then that typically is the damage that would at least provide enough payment for the landowner to put in a crossing in their field. So the short answer to your question is yes, I would expect the drainage district would have to fund a portion of that as well, and that severance damage should be included in the cost estimate as well.
Spencer, this is Jerry. Question again. You probably said this. How many acres, if we had to annex, would that add? If we clean that ditch out?
Confirm this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need to confirm this, but it would be around 1,000 potentially because of all the land that flows into that ditch downstream of the tile.
That would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
It would certainly, you could spread out some of the costs. Thinking ahead on reclassification, the ditch, I'm assuming, would be reclassified under a different schedule than the tile. So I think to some extent, there would be a little more of the cost spread out for sure, but a lot of those extra acres would only be paying for the ditch at the downstream end, if that makes sense.
Yep.
If we just worked within, sorry, go ahead.
On 290th Street there, where this ends, if that's cleaned out, is that gonna put more pressure on that bridge there?
Yeah, good question, Barb. In terms of like the bridge's capacity, we did take a look at that in terms of what the capacity is for conveyance through the bridge, and initially no concerns with the conveyance capacity of the bridge there. Certainly, with doing any of these drainage improvements, obviously there would be the potential for increased flow of water through there. But based on what we've initially looked at the bridge there, no concerns there with the potential increased flow at the bridge at 290th.
Thank you.
bridge map, how big that is.
Sorry?
Dennis is just looking for a bridge map.
We were wondering how big that bridge was.
Oh, gotcha, yep.
Never mind us.
So maybe what might be helpful too, I guess, for the board is that, we wanted to, because this is obviously some changes from what we preliminarily had looked at for improvement options, and because unfortunately, because of the depth, we can't do just the surface channel option. We wanted to provide some of this updated information for the joint board today and talk this through, get this information in your hands and answer some of these questions you have. Ultimately, I guess, kind of we saw two potential paths forward. We could proceed towards finalizing our engineer's report and file it with this information and go to a public hearing, or knowing that some of this is a little different than what we had probably hoped to see for outcomes for the landowners, we could have another landowner meeting to discuss some of this with them now, get some more input from the landowners to see if there's anything else they'd like us to consider, or any changes they'd like to see to the options before we sort of finalize our report. So I think either way, we're well on our way to finalizing the engineer's report. There's a few of these things like with the annexation and finalizing some of the right-of-way numbers and those types of things that we'll need to do to finalize the engineer's report. But wanted to have this meeting as sort of a check-in update on where the design options are at, see if the board wanted us to just go ahead and proceed with finishing up the engineer's report and then having a hearing, or having another informational landowner meeting before we go all the way to finishing up the report.
I'd have another informational meeting. That's my opinion.
I agree with that.
This district has never had a reclassification. This is off from the original assessment, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I guess I didn't mention it yet, but one of the things that the board did direct us to do was the pre-construction reclassification as well, which would be, part of the final report. And, and maybe it would be helpful that we would potentially have the pre-construction reclassification all wrapped up and done before the next informational meeting as well. That would be an option as well, but that was our intent, was to do that pre-construction reclassification, at least as part of the final engineer's report.
Would that include the annexation portion?
Yeah, I imagine it would then, if this is a path we're gonna proceed down, and if we're gonna have to deepen the ditch and potentially annex that, we would include, again, none of those lands are officially part of the district until they have been annexed, but we would sort of run the pre-construction reclassification under the assumption that they are all annexed in, so the calculations would match with that.
Has there been contact with the private ditch landowners that aren't currently in the district?
That's good. Good question, Jason. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up with the board, is we have not tried to reach out to them yet. They do have land within the district as well, where the tile goes through, as well as downstream. We have not made any efforts to reach out to them yet. Just give me one moment here. I'll pull up the landowner name. I'm not sure if anyone in O'Brien County has contact with that landowner or would like us to reach out to them, but that was one of the things I wanted to ask the board today.
If improvements were done within the district and nothing was done to the ditch, and there was what you talked about earlier, ponding or issues at the outlet, that landowner would have the right to address that and expect the district to participate, wouldn't they?
Yes, if that were to happen. And I guess also let me just clarify that I'm not sure that under any circumstances I would recommend doing any of those improvements upstream without doing something to address that ditch downstream because of that exact situation that you're describing, Jason. Ultimately, I think without doing that work to the ditch downstream of the district, any improvements upstream are just going to create more issues.
You'd still have the potential of facing a cost of that.
Yes.
I think we should go ahead with the pre-classification.
I think so too.
and
Okay.
go through another informational, and hopefully we won't put the monster.
So, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we would update some of this with the annexation information and then do the pre-construction reclassification based on those annexed acres as well, and then go to the landowners with that information before we sort of finalize everything for hearing. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yep.
That's what we're thinking here.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good here, it seems.
Okay. I don't know, I guess from ISG's end, the board had already directed us to do the pre-construction reclassification. So if that's the case, I don't know that I need any action from the board today. I just kind of we thought we should check in on the status of the project, share this information with you all, so you're aware of it. You know, we didn't want this all to come as a surprise when the report was filed. But knowing that, I think we can proceed with the pre-construction reclassification work, vet out the annexation a little more, and then sort of proceed towards having all that information for another landowner meeting. I guess the other piece then that I would recommend to the board, and this can be addressed later, is that when we do have that next landowner meeting, I would recommend that we also send invitations to the potentially annexed landowners as well, so that they can be there to understand what's happening, because like obviously by law you only have to invite the landowners in the district, but you want those annexed landowners to be aware of what's going on, or potentially annexed landowners to be aware of what's going on as well.
Makes sense.
Okay. And I am just pulling up here on the assessor's website, the landowner information for the open ditch landowner. And I think if I'm saying it right, it'd be Michael and Christy Verhoff. Is there anyone with O'Brien County that would have contact information that they'd want? I guess I'll just ask the board. Does the board want to reach out to that individual? Would they like ISG too? Just let us know what your preference is. But I do think it'd be good to have that conversation at some point prior to having another meeting.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't hurt because if we're doing an open ditch there, it depends what's there now. You know, maybe they farm right through what they have now, and that's going to change because they're going to have a little narrow strip there that they're going to have a hard time accessing otherwise.
Agreed.
Narrow strip. Because they own the whole mile long there, but it's only 40 acres wide. But
yeah, and no matter what, option we do, we would also be deepening that existing ditch, which would widen it and result in some right-of-way acquisition. So there would be potential impacts to their farm, no matter what, really, with any of these improvement options.
So does the option 3, does that address the problem that there is right at the county line on Silver Avenue and I guess it would be 270th Street?
Yeah, at the county line there. Yeah,
North of that is where the issue was, but actually if we just do the improvement up to 270th Street, it really doesn't help. There has to be a way for water to come through that road a little bit better. Would the drainage district have that, or would that be up to the counties to share that?
Yeah, good question. I would expect as part of that improvement option that there would be a culvert replacement or improvement at the county line there as well. And then that would be, coordinated with the county secondary roads departments, and then the counties would share that. I'm imagining. I have not, just because we haven't finalized these options, I haven't talked with the county engineers about that yet, but I'm imagining that would be part of that option too. Because like you said, we would want to be able to get the water from the north side of the county line down to that new ditch, or the new surface channel on the south side.
They were cleaning out the ditch when I looked at it last summer, and what they were doing is, basically they were deviating the water from branch 76 down the road ditch into where it goes into the main and running across the field. Well, somehow that should be stopped, and it should, that water should go into the new either open ditch or grass waterway that's going to be on the south side of the road then.
Yes, sorry, my connection cut out there for a second, but I think if I heard right, you're wondering about all that ponded water, and, you know, what would happen with that improvement. And, essentially what, you know, 3B would allow for is the same tile is there now, but we would allow a new, essentially a surface water outlet, for all that water to continue to flow to the south. I think one of the things the landowners talked about at the landowner meeting was that used to be a county road right away through there, and there were road ditches there before that are not there now. And so what we'd essentially be doing with this surface channel option is providing, you know, a surface outlet for some of that water rather than just sitting there and ponding to get away.
Yep, but then the bridge has to be big enough across the county line there for corn stock.
Yes.
That doesn't get plugged up.
Yes, agreed. Sorry, that must have been the part I missed. Yeah, that would definitely include culvert replacement there, I'm imagining. Yep.
Yep, thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is consider scheduling a landowner meeting, but did I hear correctly, you're wanting to proceed with the pre-construction reclass with annexation considerations and have a meeting, joint meeting prior to setting a landowner meeting?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so I guess I would recommend the board does not schedule anything today then, and we would come back to you when we have all of this refined with the pre-construction reclassification and the annexation considerations, and then from there we could have our landowner meeting.
I do think this, go ahead.
We're in agreement with that. And then we'll come back to you when they have the report ready to go.
That sounds good to us then. So I guess, with that being said, I don't know that I have anything else. I can answer any other questions there are. Otherwise, I think that was all I had for the joint board today.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. Would we look for a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Also move Frederickson.
Support, Mike. We have a motion by Frederickson, support from Schulte for adjournment. All those in favor signify with aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, O'Brien County. We can look forward to working together again.
Just wish these projects wouldn't be so large. Like $1 million.
Yeah.
It's just what I was gonna say.
Man. I get it, but man. So much. But tiles are 100 years old, so.
Yeah, that's been going for 100 years. Unfortunately, or.
You voted no.
Barb likes the job security.
I'd make a motion to reopen our regular meeting.
We have a motion from Helmer, support from DeBoer to reopen our regular meeting. Discussion. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We were at approved TIF reports and approved state reports. Now we're shouting bombard us with.
Yeah, those, we didn't make copies for everybody. It's just the county TIF,
Have to be in order.
No. This is the reports we have to have certified by December 1.
This is getting paid off.
Yes. We're done paying to green and yellow as well.
Good.
We have like a year or two left of the ethanol TIF besides the rebates. Because we're using that for the MBM dead and the Sunset Retreat, so we only got a year left maybe or two.
So things will be looking pretty good now.
Yeah, but it doesn't do much good because we can't use none of that valuation anyway because they're limiting us. But
Picky.
I know, right?
Not recall that if something rolls off the vendor renewal area and increases our value, we don't get no more than a 3% limitation.
Right.
But growth, so it still says that with the higher growth, you get a higher percent of increase.
3%, I believe it is.
So this is the final one on all the rebates? Not all the rebates, green and yellow.
No, green and yellow's done, but not the hotel or Langstrad's or Lonemans. We're not done with their rebates
The
yet.
other one that used to own green and yellow.
C&B or no?
Yeah, and
Not Holgren anymore.
Notable.
Notaboom, yeah. We're done paying him.
That one's done too, because that was the same. But he hadn't.
Oh, he could have gotten more of a rebate, and he never asked for it, so.
And you didn't volunteer.
That was in the agreement, was on him to let us know, and he did not, so.
Diane won't let me put up her tree before Christmas.
Oh, won't she?
Until after Thanksgiving. Tell my granddaughter she's gotta help me Saturday.
Mine's up, but it's not decorated. I gotta wait for my grandkids to help me do that. And they'll be mad. Thanksgiving being late, it's hard to.
That's one thing I like about our tree. Set the base down, set the middle, set the top, it's done. Lights are on it.
Yeah, ours just stays one piece. It goes up and down the base of the stairs. Yep, pretty much is what we do. That's what we do.
Why don't you just leave it down there and transfer Christmas down to the basement?
Oh, not in our basement. We don't have a nice basement to do that. That's the only thing in the house that we have not remodeled is our basement. And it would be like in a whole new basement, so.
Keith, any correspondence with that? They're gonna replace a culvert there on 59 south of Melvin? They want,
They sent out a general notice and looking for comments. I actually commented back and said that they should use our detours to the west, our paved roads, and loop around and not go through Melvin. That was my.
that was good, as that's kind of what we were thinking in Melvin, that we don't want to
really
go
don't
right.
see 59 traffic routed through Melvin, but
No.
we'll see what they do.
Yeah, that's what our thoughts are too, so.
The more people that comment on that, the
Yeah.
better. I mean, it's an open link to do that.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I was curious what your thoughts were, so.
I've already made that comment.
What, on A34 or what? Is that where you want to reroute it?
There's 59, 846, flowing around this way.
Oh, okay.
It's these paved roads. But, I mean, it's a longer detour away from 59 because this is only 2 miles over.
Yeah. We don't really want to go through Main Street, so.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to make that comment too.
Well, ultimately, the detour agreement comes through the board.
Our board?
Really? We signed the one for Highway 9, remember, last year?
Okay.
Those detour agreements where they were using M18, so.
That culvert you're speaking of would be south of,
Just south of
The
the
intersection.
intersection. Melvin on 59. It's in this area somewhere.
What is it, just
How long
before
does
that?
that take?
In that mile?
It depends. If it's a precast, about a week or so, a week to 2 weeks. If it's cast in place, it takes over a month. I don't know how big, I haven't seen plans, I don't know what they plan to do.
approving TIF reports and state reports be done in one action. Can we get a motion for approval of the TIF reports and state reports?
Motion, support.
Motion by Loring, support from Schulte. Further discussion? And if all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Claims would be next. There are 2 claims to Boswell Water Service, number 963 and 964.
I make a motion, we pay 963 and 964.
I'll second it.
Motion by Helmer, support from DeBoer. I will abstain. Motion to approve the payments 963 and 964 to Boswell Water Service. Any discussion? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We would have the remainder of the bill, claims to consider.
I just had a question on the Veterans Affair. Veterans Day meal for $1,200. What did they do for $1,200?
Participating with a high school's program would be my guess.
Like,
I
what
don't know, I'm
claim,
just
what
asking.
claim number is it?
Tuesday, Bubby's here.
994.
I don't think that was it. It was pulled pork and fried chips. They didn't
Must
have,
have catered meals for a bunch of them or something.
I can go ask her.
What day was it?
I should
Well,
have paid tax.
necessarily.
We didn't.
Kids were in school on Veterans Day.
It was on the,
Program
it was on the
and
11th, November 11th.
They catered a meal for the vets at the program.
Oh, okay, I'll bet, yeah.
That's what it is, not the chili soup, or that's what they have, is that? Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion on the rest of them.
Support.
Motion from Schulte, support from Helmers for approval of the remainder of the claims. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approval signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Had to amend this abstract too. We need you to re-sign that. on the page.
We had interviews for Sandy Smith's position, but we declined the applicant, so any questions, talk to me afterwards.
Yeah, these two of them, please.
The re-advertising or?
Yeah.
Said my trip back from Des Moines, I was able to meet him at Pocahontas, and I would encourage you guys to take an opportunity to look that facility over. Certainly interesting and helpful, I thought.
Is that somebody, same architects at the same type of facility?
Yeah, I would guess so. It's better. I mean, it's, looks like a carbon copy to me.
We had the wrong name in the abstract when we did it, so we're just doing our corrected one.
Anything further, or we'd look to adjourn?
I was just gonna say, when I went to your meeting, they did agree to have Sturk take Foster's place.
More importantly, Sturk agreed to take Astor's place. We have a motion from Loring and support from Schulte for adjournment of this meeting. All those in favor, signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.